Hi everybody, Adrienne here, and today I'm coming to you with the first impression of Bad Habits After Party palette. This is a dupe for Huda Beauty's Smoky Obsessions palette. I purchased this palette off the Shop Hush app about a month and a half ago, and I posted a haul, and I will post a link to that up above. You can click if you want to watch that and see some of the other palettes that I picked up. I did purchase this palette in the bundle where you get all 6 of the Obsession dupes for $48, so that was quite a savings. If you purchase this palette by itself, it would be $12 normally, which is still quite a deal compared to the Smoky Obsessions palette, which is $27. So this packaging is a really nice cardboard packaging with the magnetic closure, and it's got the names of the shadow shades on the back. And in addition to that, it does come with a mirror, so it's nice that it has the mirror. I'm not going to continue to blind you with it. And the shadow names are also printed underneath each of the shadow shades, which I absolutely love. I don't like it when they're printed on the sheets and you have to look at the sheets or flip the palette over on the back and try to figure out what the shadow names are. So it's nice to have the nice size mirror in here and the shadow names here in the palette. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some swatches so you can see what all these shades look like on my skin tone. The reason I wanted this palette was because I wanted to have a nice taupe, kind of bronzy, smoky eye, but a lot of the palettes that are out tend to go ashy or be too taupe and just look like a gray mess on my skin tone. So I was really excited when I saw this one because it looked like it would work for me, and as you can see, the swatches turned out pretty decent on my skin tone and nothing looks ashy. But without further ado, I want to show you how I created the look today, and then I will come back with my first impressions on this palette. To get this look started, I went ahead and primed my eyelids. I will list what I used to prime my eyelids down in the description box, and I'm going to go in with this shade, Morning After, first. And I'm just seeing how this color is going to blend into the crease and work as a base shade to cover up the stark white look of my primer. And so far it feels like it's blending pretty easy, and the brush set that I'm using on part of my eyes will be the new Wet n Wild brush set that I hauled a few weeks ago. I'm still testing this out to see how I like it, and so far I like how this is blending this shade. I'm going to blend this out a little bit more, then I'm going to let it sit and move on to the next shade in case these mattes oxidize. I don't want to make the color more intense than what I want it to be. So I'm going to go in to the inner corner and just make sure that, take a little more shadow and make sure I don't have any streaking, because I tend to get streaking sometimes with the primers right in the inner corner. Gosh, that blended out really fast. And using my Flawed palette, you can see I just got musk on this brush, and there's quite a bit of kick up and fallout here, so hopefully I won't get too much on my eye. I will just blend lightly because I don't want a bunch of that. And that seems to be blending out fairly well. And I did not tap my brush. I'm not one that likes to tap the brush and waste the product, so I try, if I can, to save it. Taking a little bit more of that musk, and I'm just gonna put it on the other side and even it out. It's blending rather nicely. Pigmentation's building a lot quicker on this eye. I think I had more product on the brush for this eye than I did the first eye. So I'm going to go back to that right eye and add a little bit more. Okay. And I'm gonna stop here because I think that looking in my mirror, some of the first shade is starting to oxidize, so I don't want to make this super dark. I think for the eyelid, I'm gonna go in with Open Tab, and it's this color here, and it's a shimmer shade. I think I'm gonna try to put it on with my fingertip and see how that applies. And this is how much I have on the fingertip. And I'm gonna go towards the inner corner and just pat that on. It's a little bit hard to not get it on my bottom lash line, so I'm trying to be careful with that. And I'm going to be doing a halo eye, so I'm just patting that on the outer corner and bringing it in towards the center a little. Now I'm gonna do it for the other eye. And this color seems to be packing a punch right away. Try to go in and not get it in the inner corner. All the way, I don't want it, like I said, on that bottom lash line. This is so awkward trying not to cover up everything, but in order to get my finger in here, I have to cover my mouth. I think that went on pretty nice. Now what I'm going to do is take a different brush and I'm going to try deepening this color with the brush just to see how it applied. I wanted you guys to see how the shimmer shade would apply using the fingertip, and now I'm going to see if it will deepen with the brush. And I don't think I'm seeing that big of a difference, but that is okay. This is a really rich, intense shade. Okay, I think I'm going to put a little more primer here on the center of the lid so I can get that halo to pop a little bit more, and I'm just going in with my MAC paint pot and laying low to apply that shimmer shade right in the center. And that should do it. Okay, and I would like to go in with the color Strobe Light, and it is a silver shade. I'm kind of questioning whether I should use hairspray first as a base, because this seems like it's more like a straight glitter, but I do want to build it up with my finger and see how much color of that Strobe Light shade. Oh, looks like it's going to be just fine getting it on with putting that primer down. Look at that, you guys. It's pretty intense, so I'm going to continue to build it with the finger. It's going on really well. And now I'll repeat the other side. I'm not even having to dip into this a lot. I'm pretty impressed with that. Wow. I definitely think that I would use a primer though to use the Strobe Light shade, because when I did my swatches, it didn't swatch well just with the finger and really dry, but this is what that looks like, just building it up with the finger. And so now to intensify the crease, I'm going to go in with Invite Only, the shade here. And I'm using another one of those Wet n Wild brushes, and again I'm getting quite a bit of kick up, so I am going to tap my brush this time because I don't want this ruining the look. I want it really contained where I'm putting this, since it is such a deep shade. I think I might have dusted off a little too much. I am going to try to pack this on first. Picking up a little more color. Okay. I'm just getting a little more down in that outer corner. This is a really pretty color. Going into the other eye with that, what did I say, Invite Only shade. I'm just packing it in the crease. Wow, this is really pigmented. I'm going to build the intensity of this side a little bit more. And looking at the two eyes, I think it's starting to kind of oxidize and muddy together, the first shade that I used. So I'm going to go back in with that blending brush and try to soften the edges and go in the inner brow bone and soften up some of that stark white look from the primer. I probably won't mess with this part here on the brow bone. I'll just leave that alone as a highlight. Wow, so far I'm thinking everything looks pretty good, just softening out the edges. It does look like some of the colors are starting to muddy right in here a little bit. I am noticing that it's muddying. I'm still going to go in and deepen that crease with a black shade, and the black shade is called Blackout. It is this shade right here. So using this small blending brush, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit scared of this. I'm getting a lot of kick up, so I'm going to pack this because I don't want to ruin the look and get too much all over. Just picked up a little bit more on the brush. Really trying to contain that, get that blended out. Just want to keep that in the outer corner, so I want to watch where I'm going with that. I'll go back in and blend over it with a different brush. I don't want that color going all the way. Wow. You guys, I have to tell you, if you're going to use this palette, be really careful with the black. The pigmentation is pretty intense right away. Sometimes that's a good thing. Usually I don't care for that. I'd rather build it up because this is pretty dark, almost too dark, I would say. I'm gonna put this down and go back in with this brush and try to blend and soften some of this up because this turned out way more intense than I wanted. And I think I might be starting to get a little bit splotchy. I can't tell, like right in here it looks like it might be getting a little splotchy with the blending, but we'll just blend on and see how this does. Looking to try to make sure everything's even. I'm going to come in towards the inner corners just a little bit, and I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to pick up this brush that I had to put on that open tab, that bronzy looking shade, and I'm just going to go in and intensify the inner corner with that a little bit more and just blend out the edges with that strobe light shade. I don't want to blend them too much though, because I really do want the strobe light to be the strobe light and pop. And in the transition, I think I want to deepen right in here just a smidgen more. I just don't want it to be as wide as it is on the outer corner. Okay, I am not sure if I'm going to smudge a darker shade on the bottom lash line. I kind of don't really like my eyes smudged out or sometimes outer liner. So what I'm going to do is go off camera and finish the rest of my face, and I'm going to obviously put on liner and lashes and all those things and come back. And if I do smudge it out, I will let you guys know which colors I use to do that. So for my first impressions on this palette, I'm going to go ahead and open it up so I can talk about the shades and point to them individually. I have to say that the matte shades are very pigmented, but they're also very soft and powdery. So when you go in with your brush, you're going to want to go in with a light hand and possibly tap your brush off. Otherwise, you may end up with some fallout on your cheeks because it does have quite a bit of kick up, which doesn't bother me. Or you can pack the shades on as you saw me do, and they turn out really nice. What I will say about the matte shades is they do tend to oxidize, and also I wouldn't do too much blending of the edges, otherwise they will kind of muddy and run together and you won't have defined color. That is something that I have noticed with some of the other Bad Habit palettes that as I continue to do reviews, I'll discuss which palettes do that. But this is definitely a palette where I could tell that the colors would start to muddy together, so you want to look out for that. But I have to say that I am so stunned by the glitter metallic shimmer shades. I did go in with this strobe light shade here, which I thought was going to be the most difficult shade to work with in the palette because it is a glitter shadow, and it did take a little bit of building up when I was doing the swatches on my arm. So I was really impressed at the intensity of the color and how the glitter stuck to the eyeshadow primer, and I really did like using my finger to apply the shadow. And I think with that strobe light shade in particular, I will continue to do so unless I'm using it as an inner corner pop in here, which I chose not to do today while I was creating this look. And the open tab bronzy shade here, I also liked applying that with my finger, but I think it will apply just fine with the brush. Also, as you guys saw me deepen the shade with a brush. So I'm not sure about these other three shimmer shades. I cannot wait to work with them. This one here is not a shimmer shade, the gold. It's another glittery shade. I know that because when I got my first initial order, this is the first palette that I got. I had a couple of them that did come damaged, and I'm going to try not to dump all that out. I did try to press everything back together, but that gold shade called Trouble, which is funny that it's named Trouble because it did create a lot of trouble. It was all cracked and all over the palette, and I contacted Shop Hush immediately and took pictures of the palettes and showed it to them, and within 3 days I had the new palette shipped back out to me. So I was very impressed with their customer service, and the colors swatch beautiful on my hand. So I'm hoping that the rest of those shimmer and glittery shades will perform as well as the shades that I've used today. But overall, I have to say, first impression wise, I'm really pleased with the look that I created, and I don't feel like I was working and working and working the palette. Now, like I said, you do have to be careful with your blending techniques with this palette, otherwise you'll get a muddied look. But the shades pop on right away, and a lot of times with the drugstore, I know this didn't come from the drugstore, but it is the same price range as a drugstore palette. A lot of times you get a good look, but it seems like it takes you forever to get the intensity built up to where you want it. And I didn't feel that way with this palette. So I'm very surprised and impressed with the way the shades went on. And I feel like this is something that I would use frequently because it doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot of extra work. Besides being careful with the extra fallout and product that you pick up with the palette, I have no other complaints about how it performed. So I have to say that overall for $12, I think that this is a good value for the money. And I'm not really sure that I will pick up the Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions palette. Probably not, going on the first basis of this look, which is really, this is the main look that I wanted to create with it. The other shades, I think they're a pleasant bonus, but I really wanted that bronze shade because bronzes are shades that are hard to find to work well with my skin tone. A lot of times I don't like what they look like on my yellow undertone, so I am impressed with that. And the silver, I really do like that. The gold shade, and I'm going to go ahead and open the palette again. These shades, they're really pretty, but I have that sort of shade in other palettes, so I will be happy if they work well, and it would be nice if I could create multiple looks with this palette, which I think I will be able to, but it wasn't going to be a deal breaker for me if those didn't work. Like I said, it was more so those two. So I'm so happy to have created such a nice look with this palette. When I create the rest of the looks using this palette, I may not make a video on them, otherwise I would be in this palette for a long time. I may just take pictures and post them on Instagram. So if you're not already following me on Instagram, you're going to want to make sure to do that so you don't miss out on a look. And if there is a particular look that I make with this palette and you do want to see a tutorial of it, please leave a comment and I will do a tutorial for you. I hope this video helped you decide if this might be a palette that you want to add to your collection. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You're also going to want to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube notifies you every time I upload a new video. See you guys soon.